Let's talk about the 10 races, starting with the first, and this is the market for it. $3.50 Mr. Universe, $4.60 Spindle, Breeze On $5, Stephen Hunt. What's the market telling you, weight of money wise?
Well, a lot of these horses have been notable shorteners on the back of Walking By, who was scratched this morning, Jace. But just looking at the most popular runners this morning, Spindle and Breeze On, between the two of them hold around about 40% of total turnover. Spindle, $6 into $4.60. Had luck on the first day, unfortunately, for punters. It was all bad around Spindle, so gets another opportunity 7 days on. 6 into $4.60. Breeze On, well supported. Leith Innes does the riding. Good to see him back. $6.50 into $5. With the favourite, Mr. Universe, 4 into $3.50. That's just the shortener on the scratching. There's a little bit of a drama around Mr. Universe about copying the track on what we saw at Mata 2 weeks ago, so I wouldn't be surprised if that drops from the 3.5. The interesting runner is number 4, the Dom. It hasn't been seen at the races for over 2 years, and they've punted this at a nice each way quote, 26 on opening now, shortened into $17. So just keep an eye on that horse. Sam Spratt does the riding, and Key has had previous form on Rain Affected Going. And also, when you look at the map, I'm pretty sure Form Pro will have the Dom as one of the go forward horses, and they do. So when you add those things up, as long as the horse is sort of fit enough in a fresh state, if it could lead, not get much pressure, handle those track conditions, maybe it is worth a spec at odds. Brendan Popperwell.
Nicely bred type. You sort of go back through Bella Joya, Bellamente. Of course, he ran a very good race in the Mata Breeders. Horses that spring to mind. Nicky Picky Milo as well, who was very good on a wet track as well. The siblings to the Dom. So you can understand why there's some support there. A runner that can find himself in a forward position and won't mind how the track conditions are now going to play. As Stephen said there, Bevan, Spindle was a horse who was unlucky here on last Saturday. Got cut back to an inside run, and it was just never presented for the horse, and looked like Cameron Lammers had a fair bit to offer as well.
Yeah, never saw daylight. It was a little bit unlucky not to probably win this particular race, but it's March Madness. I thought there'd be no pain coming to the racetrack this morning to back this horse, and be pretty assured that you're going to get your money back, because this is a race where you think if it runs up to this form and gets luck, then it's going to be running in 4, isn't it? Because it's never seen daylight in the run to the line. So I thought it was a pretty good bet on the program. Whether it handles these track conditions, well, that's just going to be a massive question mark across many of these. It's had a run on the slow ground and never really got in the mix on that occasion. So there is a question mark there. I did agree with Jason. I thought the Dom goes forward, Breeze On, and that should give Fridden a pretty good sort of run, again, unknown on these wet track conditions. And the Dom, 2 years away from the races, 1,200 metres on a track condition like this. It's got to be a question mark, but it's one of the few horses in here that does have that little bit of heavy track form.
Yeah, it does, yeah, and Breeze On is a horse who's got a little bit of wet track form, as a runner that comes in with form. In the end, I did go with Spindle as my top selection in the race around Breeze On. I do have a little roughie in the race that I don't mind. It's going to go around at maybe 30 or 40 to 1. It's number 11 in Patsy's Lass. Now, she is drawn out, but she is a horse who has raced well on a dead sick surface behind Media Sensation. Now, that was when she ran second behind that horse in late April last year, over 1,200 metres. Now, Media Sensation obviously had won the 1,000 guineas this season. So, look, at a very big price on a horse who won't mind the cut in the ground, maybe Patsy's Lass could really spice things up.
Race number 2 is for the Mez, the Royal Descent, and looking pretty well placed, Nicoletta. Not quite sure slow track conditions for the daughter of Savabeel, but it's like where she maps. What's the market saying here, Hunty?
Decent lead around the 2. Look, it's a market that's dominated by the Baker, Forsman and Rogerson team, but they're really keen on number 2. That's a decent lead on Contessa Vanessa, holds 60% of total turnover. Look, the price hasn't changed from $4.40. Podravina, $3.20 to $2.90. That was smart money during the week. I think that will dry up with the track conditions. Nicoletta, $3.80 up to $4.20, and Sandrine, $4.20 up to $4.60. So your best lead in the second is number 2, Contessa Vanessa at 4.4. The only downside is that it hasn't won this preparation, so how many times do you go to the well?
Yeah, exactly. But also, with the small field, how will this race be run? Hinerangi will probably go forward, and she'll cope with conditions you'd think better than many. In Nicoletta, Contessa Vanessa, not quite sure about Sunburst, although it is well drawn and led up from, or sort of sat forward at Mata last time out. How did you sort through this race, Brendan?
Sandrine's running, and even Sunburst as well. So look, even though there's a small field, it'll be interesting to see how they do find their spots early in the run. At set weights and penalties, the 1 and the 2, Bevan, they are horses who have been very good performers at the Group 1 level. Nicoletta's been twice Group 1 place, and Contessa Vanessa 12 months ago was second in an Oaks.
Well, I know Podravina was very, very good last start here at Ellerslie, but Nicoletta's got all the runs and all the class on board. She gets into this race with 56 kilos on her back. Look, Passing Shot at Hastings won that race. It was on speed for the entire day. Apart from Rock on Wood in the last, no horse made any ground, so it was completely on speed. I didn't mind this run. She had to work a little bit. She was coming through wide on the corner. Passing Shot has just found his mojo. This preparation and across the last couple of starts, you'll see Contessa Vanessa to the inside. So I thought Nicoletta, she's getting the 56 on her back in this type of race. She's got a little bit of wet track form. I think she'll be capable enough in this sort of ground. I was willing to have a bit of a throw at the stumps with her in this particular race over Podravina, who we'll show you in a second. She's this sort of mare, her action suggests to me that she might just get through these track conditions with the blinkers on, being a fit horse. I think she'll be a player in this particular race. And then, well, where do you look outside there as we bring you Podravina? Look, she got every advantage this day from the draw, blinkers on. She posied up in the right position, and she won this race as she should have. With the run she had, the expectations from me personally was that she would do exactly what she did here. She doesn't go through the gears quickly, but she does find the line strongly, and I think they're thinking of the Taronga race, black type races maybe.
Oh, yep,
a chance for her to get up
Japan
over 2,000 metres in time. But she gets there, but she had everything in her favour this day. She'll have to go on with it against a senior mare in Nicoletta. They are the two for me in the race. I'm going to go with Nicoletta on top just because she has that little bit of extra class about her. Podravina's still got to prove that factor, and I was getting a better price on the one. And then what do we do with Sandrine on these track conditions? It was in the mix for me early, but it's a real question mark now. And Contessa Vanessa just comes into it with a little bit of rain, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
And that's the way I'm going now because of the change in track conditions. She is a horse who does relish getting her toe right into the ground. She's even been capable on a heavy surface as well. So even though I did like Podravina last night with the track condition, possibly that dead 5, I'm really starting to get quite warm on Contessa Vanessa in the second of the day. Jason?
Race number 3 features Bethany, a very well performed maiden horse that yesterday was the bet of the day for me. I'm a little bit tempered now with that. My confidence is tempered given the track conditions. Stephen Hunt, what's the money saying?
In a turn, 280 into 270, but there's a nice spread of money. The most popular runner this morning, Jason, has been number 2, William Tell, 650 high peak, now short as $4.60. Maybe the miles, slight question mark, that last furlong, but from drawn barrier 2 with a 3 kg claim, it's going to get every chance to run out the mile. The Helix in that third line of betting, it's solid at 6.5. Western Girl, currently a losing result for the Baker Fallsman runner, a current maiden in the field, $11, pretty solid there. And Birdie Blitz, who deserved a winning turn last start, looking to go 2 on the bounce, has been well shopped to 18. But clearly the best back runner overall, Bethany, but today alone, William Tell, the most popular, 650 into 4.6.
You certainly don't approach it with the level of confidence that I did, thinking that the track might be, say, a dead 4 or at worst a sort of a dead 5, but she's performed okay, Bethany. How about the speed map? Marbizet, Zenvo, Birdie Blitz and William Tell. For sure you'd expect William Tell to be ridden positively by Taiki Yanagida, and you've got the Birdie Blitz there and Sam Spratt. We know how good a gate rider she is and how well she can rate them on the speed. Brendan Popwell, I'm pretty sure you're with Bethany as well. What are your confidence levels like? Are you just all in here?
No, my confidence is damaged with the rain, Jason. I thought dead 6 would be about her limit. Slow 7 plus a concern. She did run a very good race behind Dawn Patrol on a slow track in one of her earlier races when she did start to rack up some of those placings, which obviously is a great race. That particular race was Arrogant and Amano and those sort of horses in that particular race. Look, she can get there on ability as well, so maybe we just have to try and factor that in. But yeah, in terms of confidence coming in from yesterday, where I was hoping it was dead 4 or dead 5. Look, Bevan, she's run into some very good horses despite the number of placings she's had. The Dawn Patrol, Savion Blanc and Melda Mary, Super G and Vigor winner.
Got to agree with both of you. The confidence is dented on her, but I've got a sneaking suspicion that she's just better than the remainder of this particular field. So how much does that equate into how you rank up these track conditions? When I was going through this field, I sort of rated her maybe 3 lengths better than any other horse in this field. Does the heavy, slow track conditions at this point take those 3 lengths away? more than likely, but that still puts her right there. So she's still the top selection in the race, but yeah, she was a big bet for me on the program, and now clearly with what we've seen, she's not.
Yeah. Same here. Anything else in the race that you're sort of looking towards?
Well, I'm keen on William Tell. Sort of horse will put himself in the race. I do see good speed here, as the speed map from Form Pro suggested. Look, the Helix ran a really good sectional the other day. Really, really good sectional. Now, that's probably dulled a fraction with these slow track conditions here. The Matamata track was off that day, though, so expect that to run a race. So maybe there's some value there around it. And then I went over the page with maybe Zenvo. It wasn't a bad effort, and the horse that ran third in that came out yesterday at Otaki and won quite dominantly and off track, so maybe Zenvo at a price.
Going to stick with Bethany for sure. Probably cut the bet down to maybe 20% of the spend. I think it's all fake news as a runner that might come into this race now with the track conditions how they are. He's run 3 placings as a maiden galloper. They've all been in rating 65 level. And remember one day, Avondale Cup Day last year on a slow surface, he was able to run a top race. So maybe he could be worth some consideration at a $10 quote.
Race 3 was the Stella Artois. Race number 4 is the PGG Wrightson VetMed 1400 for the rating 72 gallopers. $4.50 for Monaco, Jip Jip Rockin' Together at $5, Honesty $6.50. What are you seeing here?
Competitive race, Jace, say the least. Monaco 5 into 4.50 looks set to start favourite. Jip Jip Rock, interesting runner. Gee, you wouldn't back it on its latest trial, Jip Jip Rock, but gee, it showed some good form as a 3-year-old filly this preparation. There's enough money to suggest it's forward enough at $5, but just keep an eye on its current price throughout the afternoon. Together's the most popular runner this morning, Jason. If I can give a slight lead, number 11, Sidewinkers going on, back to 1400, should suit 6 into 5. Honesty, one of 16 horses on the backup from last Saturday. A notable drifter around Honesty, 5 out to 650. And Ellerslie, number 13, opened at 12, currently a losing result, did manage to beat Monaco last December, so a little bit of a form reference around there. Not surprised we're seeing a good support around number 13, Ellerslie, nice each way quote.
I was going to ask you about her just to see what sort of money you had on her, so it's good to hear that there is some market confidence. Quite like that $12 as an each way sort of price. No Connections don't mind her with a little bit of rain. Here's the speed map brought to you by formpro.co.nz. Owen Patrick looks the most obvious leader. Not quite sure where they'll end up riding, Ellison. You've got Project there, who is second up, having not been seen for a little while. How did you sift through this race, Brendan?
Again, probably with the rain, changes things up a touch again. Owen Patrick is a runner that won't mind the dig in the ground anyway, and he's a horse who can go forward. I thought Monaco, off the back of recent runs, has to be a chance. Wet track conditions don't seem to be a problem for that horse. Together, I know Together is rated as a good horse from the stable, has won twice from 2 starts on a dead surface. How are you seeing it?
Yeah, I've got a bit of time for Together. Look, I was quite excited to see what Jip Jip Rock would do today. I went back and watched that trial, and it was disappointing.
What did you make of that? Yeah.
If you have a look at it, off its breastplate, it's obviously sweated up and is extremely fresh. So I'm not sure what went on before the trial and out onto the track, but it was in a muck lather. So I'd expect a massive amount of improvement out of Jip Jip Rock. So I was just keen to have a little look about it. Ellerslie really interests me. By this point in the day, maybe those inside draws are really difficult. You think Ellison's draw is going to be a little bit of an awkward alley, but it probably comes right into the mix, and so that's one of my 2 best value bets on the program. Monaco being fit's now going to be a big key, and being in this grade, so I thought there was going to be a major chance. And look, Honesty was too good to really ignore. Whether it can show that sort of pick up on this ground now is another question. So yeah, I was interested around the 8 and the 13 as a couple of sort of value bets into this particular race.
Yeah, okay. Well, one thing I will say about Jib Jib Rock, I think we saw something similar from a horse from the same stable, same colours, Media Sensation, who trialled up very poorly and then came out and put them in a row before winning the 1,000 guineas. Look, Together over 1,200 metres, got back and still rated off a very fast sectional to be able to finish, what was it, into... what was the finishing position? Around 7th position on that occasion. So, look, I'm with Together. Maybe Giant Gem with the track conditions, how they're placed with that runner. No, it won on a wet track at Te Rapa through the summer period when it did rain on their big day there. So, yep, I do like Together and maybe a little each way on the 5.
The 5th is the Fast Track Insurance. It's over 1,600 metres. Rhinestone Cowboy has to carry 61.5, is $2.80 and favourite. Tight line Gets 3 kilos off Rhinestone Cowboy, $4.40 clear second favourite. Is the tail of the tape between those two, Stephen, or are you seeing some money for horses like Stephen James, Savapak, Cinerama, who has a massive rap on her?
One out of those two have been well supported. Number 2, Rhinestone Cowboy, and interesting enough, you go back 2 weeks ago at Mudda, I expected more money for that horse first up. It was all about Concert Hall that day, and Concert Hall did the job over Rhinestone Cowboy. We're seeing a lot more traction, a lot more money for Rhinestone Cowboy second up, suggesting he needed the run first up at Mudda. $3.20 top peak, now $2.80. Clearly the best back runner. Tight line, just a notable drift here, $4.50. Got as short as $4.20, just back out to $4.40 around tight line. Cinerama, even though in that third line of betting, is the second best back runner. Blinkers go on, it's a family trait. She's sensational, adapted very well with blinkers at the back end of her career, Cinerama. So Cinerama, even though it's drifted $7.50 out to $8, currently a losing result. Jonathan Parks does the riding. A couple they have spec'd, the one you mentioned, Stephen James, well supported at a $9 quote. A little bit of specking around Irish Flame, who has wet track form, currently a losing result at 31. Also, No Loitering has been well spec'd at 35. But overall, best back runner has been Rhinestone Cowboy, 3.2 into 2.8.
It's interesting how the blinkers can really spark some horses up. And you spoke of the family of Cinerama, and she's sensational. We didn't see it with Crown Prosecutor. The market didn't see it last week when the blinkers went on him, and he won the Derby at more than 100 to 1. This is the Form Pro speed map for race number 5. Vici drawn the inside. Now, it's a runner that I was really interested in before the rain. That said, she has placed on a rain-affected track. She's by Cape Blanco. There's a bit of speed drawn wide, so plenty of decisions I'm sure that jockeys are going to make during the run, Brendan, which doesn't really make it easy for us to predict before the race.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, Rhinestone Cowboy, look, we all know what his sort of ability he's got, Bevan, don't we? He's got 61.5 gigs, drops back to a rating 72. Did speak to Andrew Forsman after that race at Mudda, and he did say, look, maybe the track conditions, you know, he wasn't that keen on him. He's a sort of a big striding horse. And Tightline is another runner who really impressed with what he did late, even though he was unlucky at the same time in that race we last presented. Yeah,
I think I'll be kicking the cat by the time this race comes around, because I was very, very keen as my best bet on the program being Tightline, because I didn't really understand why he got so back in his most recent start, back on the inside in a sit and sprint. He was enormous late in this particular race, and he went pretty close to Sandrina on this occasion, who had all advantages, you know, 2 pairs in front of him, and gets that beautiful split as we talk. Look, if they don't posse this horse up 2 pairs closer today, I'll go he, because he can't sit back and run home. So he is a big question mark on the track conditions, I think, this type of horse. He's a 5-year-old by a line. Maybe they get away with a fraction, but not a lot. But he should have won this race. If he'd been that couple of clicks closer, he wins.
And the sectionals tell you that as well.
Yeah, and he would have been upper grade. So he's in the right grade to win. It's just whether he handles the track conditions. And I was pretty keen on 450. I see it's 440, but the way Stephen was speaking there, you can expect it to probably go the other way. And this is an impressive animal, this Gelding by Teofilo. When we saw him at Hawke's Bay, I mean, he didn't race that day, but he walked past and I thought, wow, what an animal. Big, strong, staying type of horse who's going to get over more ground than the 1,600 metres. Look, the market told you what was happening this day. Like, they didn't want him this day, and he probably ran up to a run that says he'll go markedly forward. His ears are still pricked, and my impression was he didn't handle that ground at all, really. So I think there's a slight question mark on him, but I think the stable has said he's fitter, ready to go today. Look, I had Tightline on top, and you can't jump off in the middle of the preview, so we'll have to stick with the 8. The 2 Rhinestone Cowboy, a quality horse going forward. Others in the race, I thought Vici was good enough, and I put in Cinerama. The blinker, she's just been missing away, blowing the starts, and just can't get moving into the race. I think she'll handle track conditions. The blinkers may just see her go against that speed map pattern, but it was a speed map which was very difficult to predict.
Yep. All right, well, it's a race where, yeah, I was like you, Bevan, 8 and 2. I was liking their chances coming in. I've got a good regard and respect for Stephen James in the race. He caught the eye with what he did last start over 1,400 metres. Up to 1,600 metres, we've seen him go over further. This race could be run by the time we get to race 5 like it's a staying race anyway, so, and he doesn't mind the cut in the ground. So he might be a little sneaky in the race, Stephen James. Race number 5. Of course, part of our coverage this afternoon on TAB Track Side 1 will be Emily Bosson as well. Good morning, Emily.
Yeah, very good morning. We've got something a little bit different here at Ellerslie today. We're used to seeing the thoroughbreds galloping around the track, but we've also got a Clydesdale race. I want you to meet the beautiful Hazel, who's taking part in the race later on. Clydesdales are notorious for their size. They can range from anything from sort of 15.3 right up to a massive 18 hands. And as you can see as I stand beside her, she is enormous. And look at those feet. You wouldn't want one of those to tread on you. We're going to wish Hazel best of luck later on, and hopefully we can grab some footage of her crossing the line in front.